the last like 20 minutes. I consider that a pretty big deal. And
Yeah, that's. Did you exercise this morning?
I did. I went to the gym. I didn't go running. Well, I ran a mile. Um,
Yeah, good.
but
Drank enough water.
I think it might have been.
Slept enough last night.
Yeah, I slept a good like 7, 8 hours. Also, I think it might have been like caffeine. Like I think my brain sort of drops off around like 7 or 8 hours after I wake up. And I think that might have been it. Just like I need the midday pick me up. But all right. I'm now
Okay.
winning the challenge though. So that's good.
Yeah, I
I
mean
was super carded.
it's day two, so I mean the variance is pretty high, so I wouldn't worry too much about things in terms of your results at the moment. So I know that you were losing yesterday, winning today. Wouldn't be
Mhm.
too worried about that. Um,
Yes.
okay. How do you feel that you were doing uh in terms of the overall pre-flop strategy? How did that feel to you?
The overall preflop stuff felt really solid. Um, yeah, I was on. I will say I was on point for the first full session, and then for about 2/3 or 3/4 of the second session, I was doing pretty well. It was just like the very tail end that, and things also didn't go great, but at the end of the day, I'm up like a buy-in total on the match. I can show you some of the blunders.
Yep, just share your screen. Let me let you do that. Okay, yeah, try it now.
All right, this one is apparently a flop fold. No, not this. The big one. This is apparently a flop fold, believe it or not. We called pre-flop with the queen four. I think I was oranging some four bets with it. This is again when I was sort of fading a bit. He bets 1/3 here. Apparently, it's apparently like a razor fold hand. Um, I had it up in GTO Wizard. This is the only one that I simmed, but I do kind of want to show it to you. Yeah. So against 1/3, 1776. It might not be as bad because we're a bit deeper, so imposition can float a bit wider. But yeah, at 100, we were like 115, but at 100 big blinds, it's doing a lot of folding. But big call, and the turn came Queen of Clubs, I believe. Pretty welcome card, all things considered. Goes ahead and barrels for like 3/4. So he goes and fires 3/4, which seems like the only move with his hand. And the only move with my hand is probably to call. Yep. Queen four of spades if you have it. Pure call. And then we get the pretty bad river king of diamonds. And that's when he decides to go all in. That's when I have queen four, which is a fold. It's not a huge punt call, but it's a fold. It seems. But I think it's just a really difficult river situation for me. It doesn't mind calling like queen nine of spades and queen 10 of spades, I guess. Maybe not a huge punt. I was a bit
Did you feel
surprised to see
did
folding
you
on the
feel you were
flop.
indifferent at the time?
Yeah, yeah, I was. What did I feel at the time? I was definitely not happy to see him jam. Um, I knew I was. Yeah, I wasn't pure calling this. Like, there's no way. I did think it was at the time, and this is how like sort of out of it I was. I'm like, well, it's better to call queen four of spades than queen four of hearts, even though I never get here with queen four of hearts because that just folds the flop, obviously. Um, my reasoning was essentially he wouldn't barrel spades on the turn as a bluff. He would only barrel hands with a spade for value. It's like, does he really have any value bets with a spade? But the main reason I might have been able to get away if I had more than like a second in my time bank. Like I had no time bank, so I had like 15 seconds to make up my mind, and I chose wrong. So this one was by far the most frustrating hand of the match. I think that's all I
Yeah.
have to say.
Look, if you feel that you're indifferent, you can just flip a coin. Use your RNG. Do you have an RNG?
Yeah, I got out of them. I have two RNGs, one for each table. I just put it right below the bet bar, and it's RNG click.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that, and then that'll make you feel a little bit less
A little bit less culpable for making the bad
responsible for making
decision.
it. Yeah. Look, I mean, the decision, whether it was bad or whether it was good, it doesn't really cost you that much in EV if you think the other guy's um close to GTO. From what we've seen in his past hands, like he's probably under bluffing the river slightly. So um
I agree with that.
with that in mind, you should probably take some of these decisions where you feel like you're really close and just fold them.
Mhm.
Especially in this particular cup type of line where you just barrels all in.
Yeah,
Um,
on a card that's probably pretty decent for the imposition player, I would think.
yeah. Sorry, let's have a look at the graph again.
I was up like quite a bit. I went on like a massive tear, like right right at the beginning of the second session. I just like wiped him
Sorry,
off the
can
match.
you change it to big blinds rather than my currency so I can see what's going on?
Oh yeah, yeah. I only have it like this because the rakeless winning stat doesn't work with the big blinds view. So let me just take that off. This is total big blinds.
Yeah, you can add on
Oh
is
wait.
there BB Reckless?
I don't have it filtered for heads up. There we go. All dates heads up. Yeah,
Okay.
this is right.
And then there's where I can open this. All right. Yeah, okay. I mean, the fact that you're red line positive means that he's red line negative.
Mhm.
Um, so consider that, yeah, basically in heads up situation, that probably means that he's not betting enough. Probably not betting enough as a bluff, and you can
Mhm.
kind of see. I mean, it's only 1,000 hands, so it's early days, but you can probably see that there's a slight tendency, and this is consistent with the tendency that we've seen in the hands that he's played previously, in the sample that I was given a couple of years ago. Um, Probably hasn't really changed too much with that particular tendency. It's one of these sort of deeply ingrained. Um,
Yeah, it's almost like an expression of the personality of the player.
yeah, it's sort of like the personality. So probably um, go ahead and fold some of these spots. Have you ever seen him bluff off the river like this?
Bluff off the river. I think so. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I want to say I've seen. He's definitely played some big river bluffs that I've caught him with,
Okay.
but I folded trips on the river to him when he like 2x pot jammed. We can look at the because there's a lot of no shot showdown hands that we haven't looked at all just
Yep.
because the
Sure.
pot size is very big. So I'll just filter for like the river all-ins, and we can take a look. Man, my brain is
Yeah,
fried.
you can just go actions and opportunities, river, and then source showdown. Click on source showdown, add to filter, and then click on source showdown, and that not save, and then let's go to results.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, it's statistics. Yeah, statistics. No, you need to change it, so you need to change the report to the hands so I can see what hands were played. So the top left, change from report to top left, top left. Up, yeah. Summary. Yeah, so let's take a look at both of these and then just click one at the top. Yeah, no, like my C1.
Oh, my C1. Yeah.
Yeah, so this will filter for all the hands that you've won and lost without showdown.
All right. I think this is just a 4-bet or a 5-bet. Yeah. Is there a way we could just pull up?
Yeah, just right click. This will be all your B1 stuff. So right click, replay all hands and report.
Oh, sweet. All right, so yeah, pretty standard stuff. Big 3-bet and jam over the 4-bet and folds. How we play hand? This one, big 3-bet. Bet small on flop. I feel like without the flush draw, there's a lot less overbetting. I think with a flush draw, I would like. I might have some 25% and some overbets, but there would definitely be overbets if there was a flush draw out there. Without the flush draw, I think the smaller 1/3 is fine. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's fine. Just keep going. I really want to find one where like you've called off. No, that would require you to actually close it. And then change the filter back to showdown. Yeah. Save and apply. Yeah, save showdown, save and apply. Yeah, and so let's let's have a look at all of these. So let's just like drag your mouse across the top like 10 of these, 10 or 15 of these.
Drag my mouse across the where?
Across the top 10 or 15 of these.
Oh. You just go through them?
Yeah, I just want to go through them really quickly.
Okay. 3-bet, small 3-bet. I don't do this often, but this is like a 10% small 3-bet. It's mostly big 3-betting when it does 3-bet. I go for the bigger flop C-bet here with King 7. He min raises me, which I think is fine with his hand. I think my hand is a pure jam against the min raise, and we win. On aces, this was yesterday. 4-bet, we trap, check jam, etc. Ace-9, call. He bets flop, we call. He bets turn, we call. He overbets river. What size are you going on the raise here?
Yeah, just all in. Like I don't really see a reason not to go all in.
So I min raised him. Is this terrible?
I would have thought that most of your nines raised somewhere earlier.
I also thought that. I also felt with the ace, we blocked a lot of his continues to my check raising range.
Yeah. So this particular combo, it's fine to do this, but the remaining 9x combos probably would have raised somewhere else. So you don't have a lot of stuff left, and so he should be basically, taking value any 10x plus and showing down, because you didn't 3-bet this, did you? This is a single raise pot. So that means that he's got jacks, queens, kings, and aces still, which will snap
Mhm.
off the all in.
What are we bluffing with when we jam? I also had a bit of an issue with the bluff selection in this particular spot. 'Cause
Yeah, you can just use two overcards that sort of block the aces, kings, and queens. So you can use a hand like king queen or king jack. We don't have king queen that much because they're all three bets pre-flop. But
yeah, I guess the
use stuff like the
overcards.
king jack.
Yeah, that's smart. Okay, I can get behind that. Skip that one. If you like snap called the top pair. Surprised me. Then there's this
Yeah,
one.
he snapped call because he thought it was chopping or something. Yeah, keep on. You three bet small.
We check this one. RNG pretty high. What do you think about check raising and calling off? Because something in the back of my brain was telling me that that was like an okay play because I would get it in against a bunch of straight draws, and if I don't, then I get it in a bunch against like lower pairs, and I just have a good amount of equity. So what do you think about check raising this combo?
And then calling an all in. I mean, check raising is
Yeah, and then
fine.
calling
Calling
them
an
all
all
in.
in is pretty bad, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because I seem to remember like seeing this spot in the solver and it being okay with calling with the backdoor flush draw and the overcards and the ace high. But I check called. Jack on the turn, checks through. And then 7 on the river. I think unblocking the pairs is nice. So I do bet about 75% pot.
Okay.
What do you think about this?
Let's close this and let's filter for cold river.
I'll take it. It was well played.
Yeah,
Me calling river or he
yeah.
called river.
So filters, add filter, action opportunities, river, river calls, any call. Yeah, let's have a look at all of these.
When was yesterday? I felt like I had a pretty snap call. Check on flop. I check it over to him on the turn. He bets. We call with top pair. River 2 pair with the nut flush blocker. So I snap it off. Over bet. Felt pretty standard. Check on the flop. Delay C bet from him on the bigger side. Do call. Ace on the river. Check. Bets again. I don't think having a 10 or a queen is super relevant, just given the fact that he's probably going to bet the flop with queen 10, like almost pure. And on the ace, I didn't really understand what he was representing here. And I also have the 8 of hearts, which, you know, he's probably supposed to slow down with the brick flush draws, I'd imagine. So the 8 of hearts didn't feel too bad. The jack was good. And he didn't bet that much. He didn't bet besides that I was really sure what he was representing. So I did call and was right. I do think his play is probably fine, but there's definitely been a lot less of like his line doesn't make any sense and then I call. Like most players I play against aren't good enough to like properly construct their ranges and like know what they're representing and at what frequency they should represent it. And so it's pretty easy to play against them, but Brown has not been as easy. This one, he raises me on the river. I bet half pot on the king. And I have a jack, which is good. I thought about 3-betting the river, but I felt it would be better to have a 10. So like king 10 would be a better river 3-bet. I think king 10 is like a great river 3-bet because you also block the set of kings. This one, blocking jack 10, having it be one of my stronger kings, I felt like was probably a call. And he had queen 5.
Yeah, I mean, you might have been unwrapping your hand there on the river. Maybe you could have bet bigger. Anyway, keep on.
Yeah, I might have been able to bet bigger with a king that strong. On this one, check on flop, check on turn, check it over to him on the river. I have a pair in the check down line, and pairs do not get folded. I don't think. Maybe they do.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Why didn't you bet the river?
Why didn't I bet the river? I might have RNG to check. It probably works fine as like a one third or 1/4 pot like block bet. I think block betting might be slightly better. Yeah, I guess like a block bet would be good here. But our kicker doesn't play. He's gonna have quite a few threes. I think it's probably fine either way. I think a check isn't too bad, but it might just be like an RNG thing.
You should probably take a look at that one. And you
Okay.
probably be surprised. A lot of these check down lines, there's a lot of out of position betting with a lot of basically any pair. So especially when the board pairs like that, any of the remaining pairs usually will be betting in the check down line.
Would you mind if I looked at that like
Yeah, let's
right
take a look
now?
at it now. Sure. Yeah.
So single raise pot, 100 big blinds. I think it was 5-3-2. I think is that it? 5 was club. Was the king of hearts. My hand probably doesn't bet too much on the turn. Check. Use of diamonds, I believe. Yeah, you're right. It is a pure block. Lost about.
Yeah, I mean it's a small thing, but these little things add up.
Yeah, for sure. Especially on like single raise spots. It's like pot's 5 big blinds, and I lost probably 1% of pot. Yeah, like 1% of pot by not block betting over. But that's not great. This one, I don't remember this one. What happened here? Check. Bets the river. 9. I don't love.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, that's fine. It's the same sort of thing yourself. You probably could have blocked river yourself. Like one big blind and then fold to the raise. Although what are you trying to get called from? Yeah, like weak at pairs basically, queen high. Like if you bet one big blind, like queen high has to call sometimes.
Check. I thought about leading turn with this one, but it didn't feel like I had to, and I think I RNG'd very high. And then I check river because I have strong king high, and he bets. And I have a spade.
Yeah, seems reasonable. Keep going.
Check on flop. Block bet on the turn. And we check call the river. About 2/3 pot bet. I feel like, is this too small from him or is this fine? Because we did bet the turn.
No, it's fine. If you're constructing your range well, then like you can't bet too big because you just check raise.
Okay.
On the river.
All right. That sounds good.
Because like remember, you're the one who bet the turn. He just called, so you still got all the strong hands like the queen X, and so you can use that to protect your checking range. So like you can have some queen X here that would like 3-bet over a raise. And obviously the set of sixes can do this as well.
So yeah, I block bet the turn, and then I decided that this was a better call than like ace-8 or ace-7 because I unblocked the straight draws, and I don't have a heart, which is nice. So
I mean, maybe you're probably overthinking it. Like if he's doing things correctly, all of your ace X should just be indifferent.
Okay.
I mean, obviously having a high kicker helps, but I don't think it matters too much.
Here. Check call the flop, paired board, check, check. We block the river for about 1/3 pot with ace high. And our kicker does play. Just slightly.
I'm not sure why. Yeah, I don't know why you want to be betting this one on the river.
Get called by worse ace highs and some king highs. I think this.
Maybe I'm not entirely convinced that that's enough because
Yeah.
you've already called one bet, so your hand is potentially here overplaying it, and then you raise your call. Yeah, let's just take a look at this one.
Yeah, me too. I want to look at this one as well.
It's different if it was just a check down line, then like maybe you could argue for this, but because it's a line with a single bet already, it probably is more of just a check call. And you find that that's the case a lot of the time with like ace highs on these paired boards. They'll just go for the check call instead.
See, pure calls flop. Queen of hearts on turn. Checks through. Oh, where'd it go? And then we got
Next
the deuce.
Next one.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, that loses another. How much is that? Like 0.1 big blinds, a little bit more. Ugh. He does call worse ace highs. He doesn't really call too many king highs. Yeah, all his king highs are folding. I wouldn't be surprised if Brown would call some king highs though. He has been. He calls like the worst king highs that unblock the straight draws. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, still not good. This is the first stacking of today. Small 3-bet with the jack 8. Calls. Go for the small bet. I would. When I 3-bet to the smaller size, I'm mostly betting the 1/3 here, or 1/4. When I 3-bet to the bigger size, that's when I start splitting a lot more between like the overbet and the smaller bet. So I'm not doing too much overbetting here. And it's my understanding that there is a lot of betting on this board. So even like my garbage is going to occasionally be putting in bets. I don't think it's, I wouldn't go so far to say it's a range bet, but I think all hands in range will bet. And having 2 overs to the 7 is good. One of which we hit, unfortunately for me. Check call. And we check call the river. We do have an 8 which blocks some straight draws, like the 8-5 and 8-6. But at the end of the day, I think like we're gonna have a bunch of ace highs here. We're gonna have a bunch of pocket pairs below the jack. Although wait, they might do some folding. Like I don't know, man. I don't think I would continue 9s here. 9s feels like kind of a punt to call on the turn. But I would call a lot of like 7x. He jams river. I feel like this is fine. I didn't run it, but
yeah, I mean if you think that he's bluffing enough, that's the thing. We haven't seen too many of those, honestly. At least not for him being in position. And let's have a look at the small blind. So click on the small blind at the top.
Small blind.
Yes, those are already big blind hands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you seem to be doing a lot
That's
more calling out of the small blind here. So let's take a look at the hands at the bottom first.
Yeah,
we
we already went over this
we've
one.
seen that one. That's fine. Let's go to the next one.
That call. Oh, we went over this yesterday, where he overbets the river and I call. I ran this one in GTO Wizard and it's fine. Like turn is facing like the quarter pot turn block bet. This is like a 40% continue, so it does continue quite a bit, and then it's a pure call on the river. So standard. Let's take a look. Oh, this one was like the first day of the match, and this one was a little stationy. Probably not terrible, but it was kind of stationy. So he overbets the turn on the ace. About
I mean, it's a
1.5.
pretty small overbet. I don't really know what
I agree.
why he's overbetting that small.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, and then what did he do on the river? It goes for another small overbet on the river. Okay, sure.
Decided that.
Yeah, you just snap it off. Like I don't really. Like he's not putting any pressure on you at all, really. Like he's repping an ace himself, maybe.
I don't think so. I think he's repping like I think he's actually repping like that sort of hand with his sizings, like a shitty 2-pair.
Yeah, it could be a shitty 2-pair, could be strong ace. I think you calling is fine.
What is this? Got a 9-7. Go for the flop C bet. I think this is a bit big. I think like betting a big blind here is maybe better, but probably not awful. Turn checks through. He goes for the overbet on the river. Pair and a diamond. And I thought about raising this as well. I think it's a fine candidate to raise, especially given the fact that we unblock straights, which are probably going to overbet fold the river. I think I probably RNG'd it and just RNG'd a call, but it feels like a pretty decent calling candidate, considering like we will have, once the turn checks through, we're gonna have a lot of like 1 diamond hands and a lot of trash in the range. But what are your thoughts on this?
Just trying to figure out what he's representing. I guess this is a fine. I guess this is
he's representing quads.
No, I mean, I guess maybe he's trying to represent a 5. It's like a single 5. I guess that makes sense. He probably should be doing that with this hand.
Yeah, I think a single 5 or maybe like a straight like 6-3 suited could maybe take the size, but yeah, I think it's probably a 5, like you said. All right, on to next. But okay, river call, in your opinion?
Yeah.
Queen 10, we get ISO'd. This one, limp 3 bets sometimes. It's my understanding. We do just go for the call. We RNG a check on the flop. He bets on the turn, and I call. And 7 rolls off on the river, and he bets 10% pot.
Yeah, you're snapping this off. Like,
I feel like
the same as a check.
I think he could go a bit bigger here.
Yeah. You could probably just like quarter pot or half pot. I don't really understand why he wants to go 10%.
Yeah. I think
maybe he had like a strong queen or something. Yeah.
I don't
think
his hand would. Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense with a strong queen. I think that would make a lot of sense with a strong queen, but like you don't use hands that are slightly better than the hand you're representing to protect the betting range of that, like the bet size, the range that uses the bet size.
Yeah, you're right. Like you should be sizing up with this particular hand. Anyway, keep going.
this? We bet quarter pot, check the turn, overbets the river. Oh, this is. Can you call to a chop here? Like, is it really that big of a punt?
You've already called one bet, so it's unnecessary to do that, I think. Especially when they have a bet. It's not
No,
really.
he called one of my bets.
Yeah, either way, that doesn't really matter.
Okay.
The fact is that both players are put in a particular bet, and so it just shifts the hands up.
I will say I don't think this is a good size to use with a 7. I think a 7 should bet like 2.5x pot here to make like my aces indifference, or like 3x pot. I think this is like a
Yeah, he's repping an
flush
ace,
size.
and
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I
like
mean I think
it's
he's
like
repping an
slightly
ace
too
or a
big to be
flush.
an ace and slightly too small to be a flush, I feel like.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like the 2x and the 7x should probably stick together and go really big. Have you seen him make any massive overbets on the river?
Yes. We should filter for like
Hang
river
on,
over.
let's just take a look at the hands that you won in on the small blind first. So let's have a look at some of the weak hands that you've won. So not like full houses and stuff. That doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So
Like,
you made a straight there. So I don't really.
did I make it straight?
Oh, sorry,
Oh
that's the
no,
wrong
no,
line.
no. This is actually a weak hand.
Yeah, okay.
This one, oh yeah, you'll be interested in this one. This one was like right as the session was starting up, and I was in the blender for a very long time here, which I'm not sure was warranted, but it felt very warranted. Yeah, three
So
bet pot.
did you RNG to call this one?
No, I just pure called the river.
No, RNG to call preflop.
Oh yeah. I think if he had 3 bets to 10 over a big open, it's a pure call, and if he 3 bets to 10 over a small open, it's like an RNG call. So make the call. King Jack 3. We RNG a bet on the flop. Turn checks through, river a straight, and he bombs it. And I didn't know what to do here at all. But I felt it like I don't have I mean like I unblock all his bluffs. He's not bluffing with a 9, obviously. He's probably not bluffing with a 10. Like, he's probably not bluffing with a 10. But he does have like a lot of aces. I feel like the card removal of my particular hand isn't super relevant. But yeah, he does have a lot of aces, and I didn't love calling this.
I mean, you've both got a lot of aces.
Mhm. So what do you think about this call? Do you think it's like indifferent? Because it felt indifferent at the time.
Look, in order for it to not be indifferent, he would have to be doing this with a 9. Do you think he's doing this with a 9?
No.
Then it's indifferent.
Okay.
Anyway, so did you RNG the river?
No. I just snap. I did not snap it off, but I did tank call.
Okay, sure. Like, this is the kind of way that you should be thinking about some of these river calls. Is like, would he do this with the same hand for value? If yes, then I would
Yeah.
always call. If not, then I'm probably indifferent. And then if you're indifferent equilibrium, is he bluffing? Is he not bluffing?
Mhm.
Right? Or bluffing too much or bluffing too little?
Yeah.
If you're going,
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
just
I think.
trying to see if like there's any bluff catches that, and like we haven't seen that many. There's that pocket eights, and that's about it. Keep going, keep going.
Limp pot. Bet flop. He raises. We call with top pair. Check, check. We have a boat.
Okay, why didn't you raise?
I guess I do I really get value from flushes though? Does he like call a flush here? It's such a polar line because he check raised the flop. It's like he either has like maybe pocket fours. I couldn't really think of a hand that like that's worse that would call me. It just felt like a really I know it's a smaller sizing, but it felt like a really polar river bet. Probably I was probably chopping with him. Is what it felt like. I was chopping with his value. Like he check raised a jack on the flop and got to the river and he bet. But like a jack should go bigger anyway. Like, but like, can a flush bet this size? I have some 4x. Probably not. Is he check raising that much 4x? Probably not. This feels a bit big to go with a 4x. You know, I still have some pairs in between. I have like 5, 6, 7s. And I have a bunch of jack X. So this feels it's just like a weird size. Doesn't really represent anything, you know?
Why can't he do this?
Or
With
it could
something like
represent,
pocket sevens, pocket sixes, pocket fives.
but do
I
those
mean,
check
honestly,
raise
this is
the
probably
flop?
this it could probably do it with a four as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
but does he check
maybe
raise the flop with those hands? Like maybe a 4, but kind of weird.
check four eight. Check. You bet one big blind.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I would be raising like all the over pairs, obviously. It's just a question of like, I just felt like it's definitely like not an indifferent call, but I don't think it's strong enough to raise. And then, I mean, I guess getting three bet isn't that much of a threat because I don't expect him to three bet bluff me very much in this spot. I'm just being honest. I know a solver would, but like if I raise here, I don't think he's just going to take like the jack four or whatever and just be like, I don't think he's got the goods and put it in, you know? So I think I would be able to fold pretty easily to a three bet. But I think it's a call. It's like a very, very plus EV call, but I think it is just a call.
Okay.
To next. What happened here? All right. I overbet the flop with pocket fours with the spade. I think the lower pairs do this at a low frequency, and I think I RNG'd very low. Those are my thoughts on the flop. Turn checks through, and river is a 3, and he bets quarter pot. And I unblock all the straight draws. I do block the flush draw, which is not great. But at the end of the day, I just don't have that many bluff catchers here after overbetting the flop and then checking turn. So I put in the call against the quarter pot bet and am correct. Thoughts?
I don't. I'm not sure if it's necessary to do this with pocket fours on the flop.
Oh, on the flop? Yeah, I was back and forth on that. The reason I did it was because, yeah, you know, that's not even a good reason though. Okay, yeah. On to next. Yeah, disregard. We got the 10-3, big open. He checks, we check it back. He bets big, we call, and he block bets the river, and we call. Pretty standard.
Did you consider raising?
After he potted the turn, and block bet the river, and the straights complete, and the flush completes, and there's like some 2 pairs, and he could just have like 10-7. I just felt like it was probably a lot too thin.
Okay, so look, the argument for raising is that or against raising. So sure, there's a bunch of crap there that you said that he could have, but
Mhm.
the main argument against raising is that he's doing this with a 10, right? So
Yeah.
he's value betting a 10 for this size.
I honestly think he very well could be doing this with a 10 after going so big on the turn. Because I think he like potted the turn too. Or 80%, 75%, 75% turn. Although
Did you
honestly,
consider
10's
raising here?
no. No, I didn't feel like my 10 was strong enough. And it was like, you know, if shit hits the fan, it's a
Yeah,
very strong.
yeah, okay, sure. I want to look this one up. Let's look this one up.
Okay.
I think we strongly have to consider some raises.
All right. Spade,
I mean,
spade.
I certainly could be wrong, but my intuition tells me that maybe there could have been a raise somewhere. I mean, obviously, this isn't going to be perfect because we're splitting pre-flop, but it's
Yeah.
going to end up being like once we get to the river, it'll tell us roughly how much money we should have put in.
Mostly checks flop on the turn. Probably does a little bit of turn checking as well.
No,
Tiny bit.
yeah, checking back. He bet the turn, didn't he?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I guess I'll go 67% here. And then so it
There's a
raised
small
with the
amount of
flush
raising.
draw.
Okay, with
Yeah.
the flush draw. You didn't have the flush draw, did you? Yeah, okay, cool.
And then on the river, we have the 9 of spades, I think. And he bets 1/3, which with his hand is a-okay. That's pretty sharp that he found that.
Yeah, the question is if he's doing it with a 10. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I did make some thin raises on the river that you might enjoy, but the solver didn't quite. I had a hand with pocket eights yesterday, I think, where I raised the river and it was like barely too thin, I think. But yeah, none of them are going to be contained in the sample because this is river calls, obviously. We check back the flop, mostly betting this flop, but an occasional check isn't too bad. We check back the turn, and he overbets the river with the 4 high. And this feels like a pretty good call hand. So I call. He has 4 high. So there was an overbet bluff in a fairly small pot, though. Did you want to go over that one? Just like stop me if you ever want to slow down. Limp pot, check. He bets turn. We call. And this one you're not gonna like, man. You're gonna not be a fan of this one because we just call the river. I'm like, oh, he's got some straights. He might have 9s up. But yeah, I think this is probably a pure raise. I don't know if it's a punt to not raise it, but it's probably a pure raise.
Yep. I think this is probably always a raise.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
You just have to think like how big does he have to bet the river before you start feeling indifferent? And it's probably like so 2 or 3 times that. So like maybe 3 or 4 times that. So you can just raise to that amount.
That's a really interesting rule of thumb.
Yeah. Um, you would raise to something slightly less than that. But like, yeah, it's one of those things. Like a lot of these hands, when you look at the different lines, and this is something that I probably encourage you to do, maybe tomorrow before you start, or later today after we're done here, is to look at different lines and follow one hand. Like say for example that 8-3 hand, follow that one hand, and across the same run out, look at different lines on the same run out,
Yeah.
and see how much money it puts in on those different lines, and you'll see that it ends up putting roughly the same amount of money in, given the same run out. So this is sort of what I like to call like run out invariance, so it's well run out. I'll probably have to think of a better term for it in my book, but basically it's like the hand is for a particular run out invariant to
Worth a certain amount.
it's
Yeah.
worth a certain amount, and so it tries to get there in one way or another.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like fluctuations. Like I'm sure it's not a perfect rule because like if you overbet the flop and like a backdoor straight completes that he can never have, like your hand is going to be worth more than if he could potentially have that straight. But yeah, that's a really good
Yeah.
point for like
The
90%.
main thing is like it's the same number of bets on each street, but the bet
Mhm.
sizes are different. Then it'll definitely try to do this. Slightly different if it goes check 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 and then massive bet versus bet bet bet, because um there's a massive change in the width of the ranges if you split your bets across multiple streets rather than just making one big bet. But in general, like if there's multiple bets across multiple streets, the same hand will roughly want to put the same amount of money in. Or if there's one big bet on one street versus one big bet on the river. So say there's like a massive overbet on the flop, massive overbet on the turn, massive overbet on the river. You want to compare the same hand across all three of those lines. It'll end up just doing the same thing roughly. So it's something that I would encourage you to look into, and
Okay.
it helps you with sort of formulating, how strong your hand actually is, um, because
Yeah.
then you can basically use the idea to study one particular line and then draw conclusions about other similar lines based on that, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
other lines
I think
based
I
on that.
understand what you're saying. What you're saying is like study a certain line to develop your intuition about the values of the hands within that line and
Yeah, and then if you and then if
extrapolate that
you
out.
and then if you yeah if you can extrapolate it because the same hand will be roughly worth the same amount across different lines. So if you
Hmm.
study multiple different lines of the same hand, probably something that you should do as an exercise. Study multiple different. So pick one hand at the beginning, or one of the hands in some of these that you're looking at. Pick that one combo, and then study that across different lines. So study it across the line that you played, and then look at other lines, other sizes, and see how much money it puts in.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you'll probably see that it puts in roughly the same amount. And then once or maybe some subtle increases, some sort of decreases across the certain lines, and you have to sort of pick up on that. But it helps you formulate how much your hand is worth.
Hmm.
Get a really
Yeah,
like
that makes a lot
solid
of sense.
grasp on how much your hand is worth.
All right. On to next. Uh, single raise pot. We go for the 1/3 bet. He check raises. Check check on turn. You might not like this one either. Just call.
Yeah, I'm definitely raising.
Yeah.
Like if he has a 10 or an 8, he should be potting it basically.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Uh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean in general, like we haven't seen too many like big bluffs from him. I mean, at least
Mhm.
not ones that you've caught. And every time that you've tried to catch, you've been behind. So probably will like suggest that you tone back on some of these catching of bluffs in um for basically like
Yeah.
a lot of the money or like a good chunk of the money. Like if it's just like a check down line, then he ever bets, like sure we've seen him do that.
Hmm.
But we haven't really seen him barrel off and you catch caught appropriately. At least not catching the river. We haven't looked at the turn catches yet, so you can probably take a look at that where like you catch the turn and then it just checks through. Um,
Hmm.
you might be able to see some more bluffs that he's done there. Um, so yeah, probably take a look at that uh, in your own time. What I would suggest is that you send me all the hands, so just upload them into the folder. I put
Yes.
a new subfolder in there. So just upload them all there, and then I'll take a deeper look at them when I have time in my own time, and then I'll come back to you with some conclusions.
Great.
Obviously, those conclusions will evolve over time because you'll be sending me more hands, so I get a better idea about how you're playing and how he's playing, and I'll be able to look at the mistakes that
Yeah.
you're making and the mistakes that he's making.
Hmm. All right. Sounds good.
All right. So I'm out of time today, unfortunately. So I would suggest that you sort of do the little activity that we talked about and look at the remaining hands where like you end up getting to showdown after you've called after you called a bet somewhere. Probably maybe just the turn. Obviously the flop bets are a bit, whatever, but definitely the turn.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think I did catch him bluffing in this hand. He check called a flop bet and then checked down to the river and he bet like very small, the 10 of spades, 10 9 of spades. And I bluff caught. I don't know about this combo though. This is maybe fine. Don't know. It's hard to say. But probably having the clubs is bad. But yeah. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right.
We're ahead right now. It's me calling the river. Okay. But yeah, we are currently in the lead.
Excellent. All right. Yep. Talk to you tomorrow. Actually, wait. Tomorrow, probably, if you want to do a longer session tomorrow, maybe a bit later in the day, is that possible for you? Or is that not possible?
I think it would be better to do it like Saturday. And I understand it's the weekend and if you have plans, like by all means.
No, that's fine.
But
Okay. Yeah. Would you do a quick one tomorrow and then a longer one on Saturday later in the day?
yeah, and we can like you can prep stuff for me.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right. I'll see you same time tomorrow.
Thanks, man.